minutes.
Cahirlock, we're in the middle of a housing disaster. We have record levels of rent, record house prices, record numbers of adults living in their childhood bedrooms, and record levels of homelessness. And you wouldn't know any of that from the Minister's contribution this evening. There was no acknowledgement of that, and you wouldn't know any of that from reading the government's counter motion or amendment here. And that is a denial of the reality and the lived experience of people's lives right now. And I have to say that denial really angers people. It really makes them angry. Can the government not at least acknowledge the situation and how they're affected by it, rather than painting this rosy picture of everything is going well in housing and our plan is working? I think if there was a start of acknowledging the seriousness of the problem, that would be the start in terms of the kind of fix and solutions that we need to it. In terms of this government's track record on affordable housing, the Minister for Housing in the last election promised 10,000 affordable homes every year. That's 50,000 affordable homes over the lifetime of this government. That was the promise that he made during the election campaign. In the first year of this government in 2020, there were 0 affordable purchase homes delivered. Second year of this government, 2021, 0 affordable purchase homes delivered. 2022, just 323 affordable purchase homes. Last year, just 499 affordable purchase homes. Over the course of this government, there hasn't even been 1,000 affordable purchase homes delivered, and you're almost out of time in terms of the office that you're in, and yet you promised 50,000 affordable homes over the lifetime of this government. That was the promise that the electorate was given in the last election. At the same time as this massive under-delivery, there's been an underspend in the housing capital budget by this government. And it comes to about €1 billion in the housing capital budget that has either been returned in full to the Exchequer, carried over to next year, unspent in the headings that it was meant to be spent, and reallocated elsewhere. So for one example, €70 million that in 2023 was allocated by this government to spend on affordable housing was reallocated elsewhere. And think what that could have done in terms of making a very real improvement in people's lives. And when we're talking about this, I think we do have to remember, it should be at the forefront of our minds, the impact that this is making, the human impact this is making, the lack of stability for families. And really, when you're talking to people who aren't able to access housing or are very worried because they can't get somewhere affordable, secure to live, and they're thinking, how's this going to affect their children? Are their children going to have to be moved out of their school? Is their child maybe who's had learning difficulties and that they've fought every step of the way to get help and support for their child that they need? They can take them years to get this. They can succeed in getting this with really hard work and really good support from SNAs and from the teachers. And then they're afraid of, because they can't get access to affordable, secure housing, they're afraid of how this is going to set back their child if they have to move, if they have to be moved from their school, if they have to make new friends, settle back in. Of course, this is having huge impacts on small businesses, on our economy. It's having huge impacts on our healthcare service and the ability to retain much needed healthcare staff, nurses, carers, impacting on our older people who need support in their home if they're not able to get the access to healthcare, the support from carers they need because of this housing disaster that this government is presiding over. And one of the things that really strikes me when I go around the communities that I represent is when you meet people and they tell you the stories of how the social home that they got maybe 50 years ago, or the affordable purchase home that they got, how that had a transformative effect on their lives. They tell you with real pride how they were able to then get embedded in their community, get involved in the GAA club or community organisations, how they were able to raise their children who are then able to thrive. And they tell you how they're what their adult children are now doing, the contribution that they're making because of the great impact that being able to access affordable or social housing had for them. And this is something we should never lose sight of, because people are losing despair in this country, but we must never lose sight of what was actually achieved in the 20th century in this country in terms of lifting people out of poverty, getting them into good quality housing, thriving communities, and the impact that that had of clearing out from the slums and the tenements from terrible housing conditions. Now, what needs to be done? What's the solution on this? And one of the solutions the Social Democrats has put forward, which the government have voted down in terms of the Planning and Development Bill, but it's not too late because the Planning and Development Bill hasn't concluded its way through the Oireachtas, so the government could accept our constructive solution on this in terms of an affordable housing zoning, something that works well in other countries. It's been done in Vienna, for example, where you can get an affordable rental two-bed apartment in Vienna, new build in the last couple of years. You can get that, you can rent that for €625 a month. Compare that to an affordable rent in Ireland. And affordable housing zoning is part of the measure in that. So we've put forward constructive solutions, and I would urge the government to actually accept our solutions there, accept the proposals we put in the Planning and Development Bill, actually accept the amendment that we've put forward this evening, because an affordable housing zoning would help the situation. It's not the answer on everything. And the Minister has articulated concerns he has with the Sinn Féin proposal on affordable housing, in terms of the leasing of land and stuff. So if you don't like that proposal, why not accept the Social Democrats' proposal for affordable housing zoning? Because actually it would achieve many of the same things in terms of making sure there was more land available at affordable prices for affordable housing. It would also lock in affordability, so you don't just sell an affordable home and then that goes into the private market and in time ends up being unaffordable. It would lock in affordability, it would determine affordability per square metre, either as an affordable rent or for affordable purchases, what's done in other countries. It does rise in time in line with the consumer price index, because of course prices will need to rise, but they remain affordable. It would deal with the concerns the Minister has. Well, what if someone builds an extension to their house? Of course, it's by per square metre. You build an extension, of course the value of that house will go up in line with the extension. So I'd really urge the Minister to take on board the constructive solutions that we're putting forward and not to vote them down like he has so far in the Planning and Development Bill. And I want to make this point. We have a good, as I said, we have a good history in this country in terms of housing, what was done in the 20th century. In my constituency, in Marino, there was affordable purchase homes there built 100 years ago. It's a thriving community to this day, very, very successful, really well designed in terms of the open spaces. It's a great pleasure to meet people who live there and they say their grandparents bought the home 100 years ago and the family has lived in it the whole way through. They've been able to keep it. But you look at the land costs and that housing in Marino. The first phase, the land cost for 231 houses was £4,000 £794. So the cost per land per house was £20 per house, when the overall cost per house of construction was £589. So 4% was the land cost when you go back to affordable purchase in Marino. Now look at the land costs under this government. You're talking 20%, and it can be more. And even that 20% land cost, in effect you're talking more than that, because you have the financing costs, the developer margin and so forth. So if you're able to get that land cost down, as you would under an affordable housing zoning, which the government, I'm urging you to actually accept this, our proposals on it, because these are concrete measures that work, are proven to work in other countries. So why would you not accept these proposals? If you're that committed, if you're genuinely committed to affordable housing, if you genuinely want to see your targets met, which you've never met your targets under this government, why not adopt the constructive proposals that we're putting forward that are proven to work in other countries? Why would you be opposed to them? I don't understand that. So I hope our amendment you'll accept. I hope you'll accept our amendments at report stage in the Planning and Development Bill, and I hope you'll actually take on board these proposals that will make housing more affordable in Ireland.